If you feel like you're stuck in beginner mode, then this video is for you. I've compiled a bunch of different tutorials together into this little mini course so that you don't have to do the searching and wasting all of that time looking for tutorials when you could just be practicing. The videos that I've chosen will first help you to flow a little bit more freely, and then I'm going to give you some little compositional improvisational tips with some real life actionable steps, and then I'm going to show you some fun little tricks and just tiny little subtle techniques that help to elevate your playing from this person's clearly a beginner to this person knows what they're doing. So take your time with it, come back time and again, maybe don't do everything at once because it just won't stick. I hope you enjoy, thank you so much for being here, and let's dive in. So the first thing that's going to allow you to unlock that sense of flow is a very, very simple one, and that is just a one-handed scales exercise, up and down, simple as that. Really is simple as that. And I want you to do this with your right hand and with your left hand as well. Because what this is doing is it's opening up these pathways for your body to make these crosses around the instrument so that you're able to, at will, flow in whatever direction you need to in order to achieve that sense of flow that you're looking for. I also invite you to do this focusing on each individual finger. So you move all the way up the scale and back down with your thumb of your left hand, all the way up the scale and back down with the thumb of your right, all the way up the scale with the pointer finger of your left, all the way up and down with the pointer finger of your right, middle, middle, ring, ring, even pinkies, pinkies, and then back through again, all the way back down to thumb. This is going to give you more versatility and more control over your hands. I then invite you to play double strikes up and down the scale. These double strikes will open up a lot in your playing, especially as you start to groove with this like right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left constant pattern. As soon as you want to switch it up and jump to the other side of the instrument, you can end up stumbling over yourself, right? This is quite tricky to keep that, especially as we go up to speed. Right, getting that flow is hard. But if you can utilize double strikes, get used to playing double strikes. Right, so I'm playing right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, and that double right is giving me time to move with my left hand over to this side of the instrument, and then I can play left, left, and that double strike is giving the right hand time to move over, and then I can continue in that right, left pattern. Right, so practicing these scales exercises to get that movement of flow, and at the same time practicing the doubles as you do that so that you can get used to using your hands in this way, getting those double strikes in there so that then you've got time for your other hand to move as it needs to. If you want to take that to the next step and add a groove as well, then I recommend you check out this video next. Today I want to look at the autopilot technique, and that is one hand is going to play a groove and the other hand is going to play a melody. Today we'll just start with scales so that we can slowly build that up, and then throughout the week we'll pick that up and make it more and more complicated as we go. So to start with, I invite you with your dominant hand to just play this incredibly simple groove. And I'm muting the ding with my thumb, and then I'm slapping the edge of the pan with as much of the flesh of my finger as possible, getting a nice strong strike. Great. Now with the other hand, I invite you to practice your one-handed scale. And then once you've got that, I want you to do both of those things at the same time. And not do that. So while one hand is muting, the other hand needs to be playing an open note. There's the first challenge. Make sure that you always swap hands when you're trying these exercises as well. So your non-dominant hand can play the groove, and your dominant hand can play the scale. Now, for the purpose of keeping these videos short as possible, not going on for hours, I'm not going to be demonstrating everything on both sides. Just make sure that you do practice that because it's incredibly important. So next step is being able to do those things in between each other. That was happening at the same time. Now let's try that melody after, in between each strike of the groove. Next step, let's see if we can play 2 strikes of each note while keeping this groove, like this. Brilliant. So again, I invite you to keep practicing that over and over and over again. Pause this video, come back to it once you're comfortable with it. The next step from here is to find a groove that you like. It could be one that I've taught on my YouTube channel. It could be one that you've learned from another course, one you've been playing around with. See if you can one-handify it. So just play it with only one hand rather than hand-to-hand style as we usually would. And then see if you can play a scale at the same time. So I'm going to demonstrate with one of my favorite rhythms. 3-3-2 pattern, right? 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. So I'm playing open, mute, slap, open, mute, slap, open. And actually instead of slapping over here, cheating a little bit, keeping it on the shoulder of the ding. And then the scale, dun, dun, as I'm going up the scale, sometimes I have to adapt a little bit the way that I'm playing in order to not get tangled up with myself. So there are a couple of times there where instead of striking with my thumb, I adapted and I struck. I did strike with my finger instead of my thumb. So don't be afraid to adapt and to, I always teach no chicken wings allowed, but in certain situations it has to happen in order to achieve what it is you're trying to achieve. As we start to level up to this more advanced level, to this more intermediate level, we have to start breaking some rules, right? So as I'm teaching you as a beginner, I lay down a lot of foundational rules to help you kind of advance quickly and figure out how to make beautiful sounds very quickly. But then as you surpass that, then it's time to start breaking those rules so that you can find new things. So I really encourage you to take this idea, find a groove that you like and get creative with it, right? And then that's gonna get you ready for the next stage. I have watched literally hundreds of the big viral handpan videos because I love them, and I'm curious about what it is that people are connecting with so much that makes them such big hits. I found 4 things that appear in every single one of these pieces, and I'm going to teach them to you today in this video so that you can achieve the same in your music. Of course, this video is not about mimicking other handpan players, it's about learning the tools that you need in order to express and connect. So let's dive in. Most of these videos are using very simply extended scales that have a couple of bass notes underneath that they can utilize. Common meditative scales that are used are low pygmies, such as the F and the F sharp low pygmy, Aegeans, such as the C and the D Aegean, and Amara scales, such as the E Amara. There are others that crop up as well, Nordlies and so on and so forth. But these are the ones that I see the most. So today I'm working with my F low pygmy. Don't worry if you've got a D kurd though, because these trusty D kurds are capable of anything. So the first part of the formula is some kind of walking bass line. It's very simple, very sparse. It either goes up or it goes down, right? So here's it going down. And so on and so forth, right? You could also have it in the opposite direction. Which I find very satisfying. And so on and so forth. There are also some variations in between. You can play these bass notes in whatever order that you like, but I see this coming up a lot. The second part of the formula is some kind of sparse, repeating melody. Now, don't be afraid in these melodies to keep it extremely simple. I'm just going to choose this note, which happens to be the same note as this one, just a couple of octaves higher. And I'm just going to play it in some kind of repeating rhythm. Already we have something that's starting to sound like a piece of music. Then we can start to vary it away from that. So these pieces often work in groupings of 2 or 4. So if this is 1, right, one of these bass lines is 1, we can do a group of 2 like I just did, and then after that start to expand it a little bit. I'm still keeping on this same note, but I'm starting to introduce some other notes. Notice that I'm keeping in the same rhythm. I'm repeating what I just did again. I'm not moving on to a new idea very quickly because this can start to confuse things. It doesn't feel meditative in the way that people want. I'm sticking to the ideas that I like the sound of. Another thing that I notice about these melodies is that they'll go in blocks and then maybe they will develop a little bit. So this is kind of the same idea, but then developing, right? Say we do that 4 to 8 times, a nice chunk of time. Then we'll keep the bass line exactly the same, but move the melody to a completely different part of the instrument so that it feels like you're moving onto a new section while still keeping the thread, the through line of this bass line that's holding it all together, so it doesn't feel like you're suddenly jarred into something new, right? So let's say we're here. Right? A couple of times. Down the scale, I'm mimicking what I was doing here, but I'm moving around more. And though I'm moving around quite a lot now, I'm starting to build the excitement, I'm still always playing with this push and pull of building the excitement, returning to this home note that feels comfortable and safe and is repeating. It's this repeating that is so important, that ties everything together. So that's melody. Keep it sparse, keep it simple. Even when you do build, always return to some sense of home. The third part of the formula is one of these knuckle bumps, a little knock here on the interstitial space, somewhere in between the notes. I use this part of my knuckle here, so the first one from the fingernail, not this one, this nice delicate one here. You don't have to hit it hard, it can be very gentle. And by on the 3, I mean if you're counting 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 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 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, right? And putting in a knock on the 3. So we've got some nice sparse melody, and now we've got some percussion. Again, we're building, we've got another element that's keeping it very simple, gives it a more solid sense of pulse, more grounding in rhythm, without it becoming some crazy groove, right? We're not riding on the ding, we're never doing that. It's always exploring some kind of bass line or chord progression. By the way, if you're interested in using your voice in your music, singing some gentle mantras or simple melodies, I have a course called Playful Voice that you can check out in the description down below. In it, I teach you 3 simple songs that are original for the course, as well as lots of different drills and exercises to help you get your hand and voice independence so that you can sing and play. If you're interested, check it out. And the 4th part of the formula is to always prioritize emotion over technical ability, right? You'll notice in a lot of these songs that some of them can start to get quite complex, quite fast in terms of melody and moving around the instrument, but they're never super technical. You know, they don't have crazy rolls, they don't have all of this kind of stuff that I can't play right now because I'm not warmed up and I don't practice enough and I just can't do it. They're not prioritizing that. And if they do utilize those things, it's in a moment of build-up. They're using it on purpose. For the most part, they're really focused on building emotion. And to do that, we're using dynamics, right? So we might play quietly and spacious. Oops. And then we might build 2 notes at the same time. That just filled up the space so much because I'm building the dynamics. Playing with speed to use emotion as well. And now I'm at my full level with the knocks as well, and then I pull it down. So you'll notice as well in some of this that when I do play those melodies, I'm not like on the dot every time. I'm not. Right? It's not the same dynamic all the way through. I'm always playing with the nuances just a little bit. And as well, I'm playing what we call flams, where one hand comes down slightly before the other. And that just gives it a bit of movement. I don't do it all the time, but you'll notice in some of the melody, the bass line will come down just before the melody strike. And that just gives it a little bit more breath, a little bit more movement within that piece. So we're really utilizing dynamics and nuance in the playing rather than crazy fast technical skills. It's still, this is a very good and important technical ability to be able to play with dynamics, and it's not easy from the get-go. So I'm not saying that it's not, you know, it's not good technical playing. It very much is, but it's not showing off. It's using the bare minimum to express emotion and to leave space as well for the listener's emotion. But how do we achieve that? How do we get to the point where we're actually able to play those things? First of all, you need to have good right and left independence so that you can maintain this pulse of this bass line while doing other things on top, right? So a good exercise for that is the autopilot exercise. I've got videos on that I'll put down below, but basically is we're practicing keeping a simple groove with one hand, like so. And then with the other, we practice moving up and down the scale in many different ways. We might move between different shapes, whatever that looks like, and then we can do the two together. So now we're practicing this independence of the two hands, and so on and so forth. We can also do that in different pulses, so that's playing everything on the one. If we play the scale hand on the and, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? We're practicing that independence in different ways, different rhythms, different movements, so that you're just getting used to really moving around the pan confidently and also maintaining two different jobs. In this case, those roles are bass line and melody, or bass line, knock, and melody, right? We need to practice being able to maintain all those parts together. Then we also need to be thinking about dynamics, right? That's really important. So very simple exercises, just moving up and down the scale with one hand, so you're still practicing this full range of movement as quietly as possible, as though you're trying not to wake a baby, right? You're tickling the instrument, you can barely hear the sound. And we want to practice being able to do this quickly as well. So we need to start very, very slowly until we get comfortable. But the idea is to build that so you can maintain control even while you're building speed, so that when you eventually do want to move quickly between melodies without having to really smack down, you'll be able to do that. So we'll practice these scales exercises, and I like to go from 0, which is not touching the pan at all, to maybe 7 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would be far too loud, is damaging the instrument, right? That's pushing it to its very limit. 7 is slightly louder than comfortable, so that you've at least got that level that you can go to when you're playing with those dynamics. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is your comfort, 6, oops, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, we're not going to go there. So you see how we start from that really quiet dynamic building up. That's something that you can practice every day when you pick up the instrument. It only takes 2 minutes just to go over it with both hands so that your body remembers. And there you have it. Those are the 4 key steps to creating the most emotional, meditative handpan music that I have found in those videos. And then a couple of exercises so that you can start to develop those skills that you need in order to achieve playing that music. If you're looking for some inspiration to get you started, do check out all of my tutorials on the channel. There's more than 100, including pre-made patterns for the low pygmy, for the kurd, meditative patterns that you can learn, as well as lots of drills and exercises to help you develop your skills. So do check it out. First fill. So the count that we're going to be doing here is 1 E and 2 E and what I'm doing is I'm using this split hand technique, and I'm muting every single note, and I'm playing both hands together at the same time. So we've got starting with the pointer finger and then switching to that ring finger. I'll put a link below for a really good practice for getting that movement. And then the open, the last one we're going to leave to open. Show you what that looks like written down. We have got 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 4 E and bum 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 and a split hand version, 1 E and a 2 E and a E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a E and a 4 E and a. Alright, so if I put this here, let's try that on the handpan. Ready, 1, 2, off we go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. And now let's leave the last one open. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and yeah, 1 E and a 2 E and we put that together with the groove. So the second pattern looks like this. All I'm doing here is I'm rotating my right hand on the ding, playing with my thumb first and then my middle finger. And again, as with all of this rotation stuff, all of this split hand stuff, we're rotating here at the wrist as though we're opening a door. And then we're letting the momentum bring us right back. So we're creating this kind of V shape almost. Aiming for the same spot on the ding when I come back down. And then we just want to speed up that motion. Try that with both hands so that you've got it with both hands. And then we're creating this kind of galloping feel by bringing in a third strike on a note. And then we're just moving, in my case, up the D minor chord. So I'm playing note 1, 4, 6, and 8. And then when we speed that up, digga-dum, 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 digga-dum. In the context of the groove. Is happening in between the 1 and the E. 1 E, 1 E, 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1 E, 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a... Nice. So let's move on to number 3. This one's really simple once you've got the hang of harmonics. So all I'm doing is I'm finding 2 different harmonics on a single note. And in order to achieve that, I'm imagining that there's a cross running through the tone field here. And I'm resting one finger just on the edge of the dimple right here at a kind of on one of the lines of the cross. And then I'm striking on the opposite line, so I'm creating this 90-degree angle. The finger that is resting is literally just resting. Like there's no pressure. If I were to put pressure, it would start bending it, right? We don't want that. We're just letting it rest. And then when I find the other harmonic, I'm just simply moving to the other part of the cross and then striking on the other angle, on the other axis. So I've got a nice little harmonic there. And then I'm moving to another note, I'm finding a harmonic on that note. And I invite you to move around, play with what you think sounds good and create your own version of this. But for now, I'm just going to play those 3 harmonics. So, in the context of the groove, it looks like this. placement of this in the context of the groove, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a boom 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 ba dunk 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Right? So what you want to be doing is preparing for the strike before it happens. Make sure that you've got your finger already rested, ready for the other hand to do the strike, right? 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Nice. Okay, so the final one is a nice simple run down the scale, but we're moving in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm creating these little triangular shapes, if you like, on the way down. Yeah, so there's 9 strikes in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. However, this 9th strike happens on beat 1 of the next repetition. So it's actually kind of 8 strikes, if you like, and then we're starting here. And that's what it's going to look like. So once we put those groups of 3 together, without leaving a gap, that's what it looks like. 3 E and a 4 E and a. Yeah, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E, the 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And you'll notice as well, because I'm starting with my right hand, but the fill here starts with the left, so that I can get note number 8 here at the top, I'm playing a double strike. 1 E and a 2 E, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. 1 E and a 2 E and a da-ga-dum, da-ga-dum, da-ga-dum. Up to speed. So when we put all 4 of those back together again, looks like this. Obviously, in your own playing and improvisations, I don't recommend having a fill after every single half of a groove, because that would get boring very quickly. But it's really good practice being able to move between them quickly like that. So see if you can put those together, see if you can build it up to speed, and then see if you can put your own creative flair on it. And I look forward to hearing them. If you do decide to record any of those, film any of those, tag me on Instagram, AmyNaylaSmiles. And yeah, have fun. If you are enjoying this course so far and you would like more of this every single month, you can become a student over on Patreon, where I give you a monthly practice plan. It's called the Handpan Connect calendar, and every month I give you a cute little PDF calendar page which gives you a playlist of specifically chosen videos for a specific goal. You also get access to a WhatsApp group where the rest of your community are learning alongside you. You can share your progress, ask questions. You've also got direct contact with me if you want to make any requests or ask any questions or get some feedback. And you also get a say on what the topics will be each month. if we are serious about becoming better players, it is really important that we're consistent in our practice. And that can be really difficult to do when you're trying to follow random tutorials online. So this provides you with that path so that you can just stick to a clear goal and have a clear path laid out in front of you. I'm really proud of the community that has come out of this. I really love the space, and I think that you will too. So I would love it if you joined us over there. You can find that on Patreon. I'll put a link down below as well. And yeah, I'll let you carry on with the rest of the video. So this is the lazy roll, and we've got a nice little exercise to practice it. The lazy roll is basically when you just let gravity do the work and let all 4 of your fingers land on the ding like so. So we're coming down pinky first, then ring, middle, pointer, pinker, ring, middle, pointer, pinker, pinky. And it is good practice to isolate them and practice them individually like so. See how I'm using just the finger and not the wrist, just to get an idea of how it feels to be in control of those fingers. Weirdly, my left hand, which is my non-dominant, feels more in control. Interesting. But even though I do recommend you practice this, the lazy roll itself, while we do isolate them a little bit, mostly it's a flick of the wrist in this rotation movement here. So all of the rotation stuff we've done in the last couple of weeks is good practice in the lead up to this. And there's a moment of prep, and there's a little bit of this wiggle happening with the fingers, but mostly it's a lead by the wrist. And the isolation of the fingers is to help avoid this sound. And ideally you want your hands to kind of look the same-ish. Mine don't at the moment. My right hand is looking and feeling a lot looser than my left. My left, I can really feel that I'm doing this a lot more. So I've got to work on that. And the exercise that we're going to use to practice this is, it looks like this. So we're going to use the roll as a lead in to the beat, right? And so we're going to do dominant hand with the roll, non-dominant hand with a strike on the ding for 4 strikes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we switch. Non-dominant hand plays the roll, dominant hand plays the strike. 2, 3, 4. So let's just try that together, nice and steady, so you can feel the difference between that right and left hand and start to get used to using this roll as a kind of lead in to whatever your dominant strike is going to be. All right, let's try it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2. Nice and loose. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2. Keeping the wrists high. Remember to use that rotation to your advantage. Switch. And what you'll notice about this as well is the goal isn't to have very isolated this finger, this finger, this finger like we just did here. You're not supposed to hear each precise individual one. It's more of the kind of trill sound that we're going for. We're not going for teka, 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 teka. Eventually, once you start to train your fingers a little bit better, you can aim for that. But for this, it's called the lazy roll for a reason. We're not trying to train our fingers completely. We're not trying to make it super clean. We're just trying to make it look fancy and sound fancy. So, yeah, it's a Friday. We don't have to actually be super precise. But if you eventually want to train that precision, then I recommend these kinds of activities. And this is why why, if you think back to week 1 when we were doing simple scales exercises, I think it was video 2, we went all the way to playing those scales with the pinky, right? Which is super helpful for moments like this when your pinky actually does come into play. So that's the beginning of the exercise. We're now going to take it a step further, and we're going to start to reduce the number of counts. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. In fact, we won't do the 4s twice, we'll do it just once. Right, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Just like that. Let's try it together nice and steady. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 2s. 1, 2. Switch. 1, 2. Switch. 1, 2. Switch. 1, 2. Now 1s. 1, 2. Let's do 8 of these actually. 1, 2, 3. Back to 4s. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 2s. 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, 1, 2, sorry, and 1, and 2, and now 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2s. 1, 2, 1, 2. Again. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now 1s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do the whole thing one more time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice, amazing. So once you've gotten the hang of that, again, keeping everything as loose as possible, and practicing some of these stretches. I've got a video on my channel somewhere of some good stretches and looseny uppy things ahead of your practice. I really recommend that ahead of this kind of activity. You can move then not just on the ding, but over to note 1 to start with, and then you can start to move it around, practice it on different notes. So the exercise for note 1 is the same thing, just getting used to different motions. So I'm striking with my thumb on note 1 instead of my finger on the ding. Let's just try like one round of that so you can get the feel for it, and then I'll leave you on your own to practice that. Ready? So the main strike happening on note 1, everything else on the shoulder of the ding as usual. Ready? 1 and 2, and off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2s. 1, 2, 1, 2. Again. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1s. 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice, you got the idea. So yeah, see if you can move that around. And see if you can get those lazy rolls nice and loose. Today we're looking at a nice little technique that's just going to bring a little bit more pizzazz to your fills, make them sound a bit more intricate and interesting. It shows a really good level of control and adds a bit of style to what you're playing. And I use them a lot, and they're kind of little flam type things. So a flam is when you play one note, one beat, but you bring each hand or each finger down one slightly after the other. Not enough to be two separate strikes, but enough to kind of just give that strike a bit more crunch and grit. This is used a lot in snare drum playing, but what I like about it in handpan playing is that you can split that between two notes to make it sound really nice. So we're just going to practice bringing the dominant hand down first and the non-dominant hand down slightly after. And you want to get that, oops, it wants to feel like one, right? And then I invite you to practice bringing the left hand down, the non-dominant hand down and the dominant hand down afterwards. I find this one a bit more tricky, I don't do it very often. I know it's a little bit boring just playing this over and over, but I promise you it's worth it. So once you've got that control between both of those hands, then you're just going to continue to swap and change between right hand coming down first and then left hand coming down first. And you can see that when I'm doing this, the hand that comes down second is a little bit higher than the hand that comes down first, for obvious probably reasons. The higher it is, the longer it takes to come down. So it's kind of by positioning your hands correctly, it takes all of the effort and work and kind of mathematics time away from your brain, and you can just let physics do what it does best. It also means that the higher the hand as well, the louder it's going to strike. So it's almost like you've got a ka-doom, 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 which is a really nice stylized way to play. Nice. Then I invite you to practice this between two notes. Preferably two that maybe are a little bit apart from each other so that they don't clash, and across separate sides of the instrument. Doesn't matter if it doesn't sound melodic for now, you're just experimenting with different shapes. Now, if you wanted to be able to play one note after the other that would normally clash, then what you can do is add a bit more control to that first hand, so it's very quiet, and then accent the second strike, so that rather than sounding like a clashing note, it sounds like a lead in. Ba-dum, ba-dum, da-da, ba-dum. Sounds like you're moving and traveling in that direction. That is the part that makes your playing sound more professional. That's the part that gives it style, is having these little grace notes, these little moments into where you're going. It's movement that makes your melodies and your fills sound good, basically. So if you add this in, that's what's going to give it more intrigue. I'm using that in context. Right? Obviously I wouldn't use it that many times within what I'm playing, but I encourage you to just practice that and make that the center of your improvs and your compositions for a little while you start to get to know how it works. I use these all the time. If you look at some of my other videos of just me playing, you'll notice that they're there in pretty much everything. And I think they work. They're pretty easy to pick up, but they make it sound way more complex than it actually is. And that is the key, is finding little tricks that sound complicated but aren't. That's what makes you sound good and look like you know what you're doing. And that is how I've gotten by my entire life. So I have this section of a piece of music that I'm really quite proud of. I never finished writing because I never worked out how to actually play it properly. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and then I'm going to play for you how this piece goes and how good at it I am right now. Then I'm going to attempt to use a couple of different techniques that I will show you and demonstrate to improve my speed and my accuracy, my consistency and tone within 30 minutes. And we are off. So the piece looks like this. Sometimes I get in the flow and I've got it. Sometimes I have to slow down in order to get it. And sometimes I just get it wrong completely. And my tempo is very inconsistent. So my goals here are to improve the consistency of the tempo, to improve the accuracy of the notes that I'm playing, and to actually understand what it is that I'm playing. So first things first, and we've got 28 minutes, so we've got loads of time, is I need to actually understand what it is that I'm playing and get a feel for the phrasing and the melodies. And I actually don't know the chords on this instrument very well yet because it's quite new to me, but I have written it all down. So I'm going to get the chords out in front of me and I'm going to analyze the piece, step 1 analysis, and actually get a feel for what chords I'm making. Chord 1 is F minor. Melody. And one thing as well is to make sure that you always practice things slowly. Because if you play the wrong thing fast many times, all you're doing is practicing how to play the wrong thing fast many times. If you play the right thing slow many times, then you're practicing how to play the right thing, yes, slowly, but you can build up the speed afterwards. So make sure you're creating the right kind of muscle memory before you create the wrong kind of muscle memory. So I'm going to play these chords slowly. As I'm doing this, I'm actually saying the chord names in my head at the same time. So I'm making the connections in my brain between the shapes that I'm making and the actual chords that I'm playing. I'm kind of learning the pan as I'm writing the song and learning the song at the same time. So the next step is to figure out phrasing. I need to be aware that I have to be able to get my right hand from this note to this note very quickly. That again is all part of the analysis. So kind of the way that I'm understanding these phrases in my head is that the first time round I start hearing come down, the second time round I just slowly walk back up to the same position again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find the trip up spots and I'm going to drill those trip up spots. And one of the main trip up spots is this. There's double right, but shifting quickly over to the other instrument, not easy, while also still trying to get a similar tone to this pan. So the difference between these instruments is that this one is textured around the outside, around the interstitial area. This one is not. That means this one is a bit warmer and this one is a bit brighter and more metallic. This one is, the notes are isolated a bit more. So I need to try and mimic the sound of this pan on this pan by playing with a curved finger and striking in the center of the note in order to make it warmer and softer rather than this. What I'm doing at the minute is kind of getting over as fast as possible and just hitting it wherever I end up. But to be more intentional. So I'm going to drill that. By playing it in a few different ways. You see how I'm just finding a bunch of different ways to play that same motion so that I'm getting my body used to it. So I'm creating these pathways, these muscle memory pathways, and making them a little bit more diverse than I need so that it feels more comfortable. And then the other trip up spot was within this higher part. I'm playing quite fast, which means I'm playing quite hard, but actually it doesn't need to happen at all, and it doesn't sound half as nice when you hit it hard. I'm still very much swishing as I'm going from this instrument to this instrument. I wonder if I move it a little bit, that might help, maybe. Woohoo! Careful there, Amy. I've got to get that bounce with my thumb. Okay, now what's happening is I'm panicking because I have about 8 minutes left on the timer, and I want this video to work. I want to prove that you can practice quickly with these techniques, you know? Analysis, drilling. What's next? It's metronome practice. Ideally, I would spend another 10-15 minutes on what I'm doing just to get the tone quality down, but we don't have that time. So, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it. It's time. That was 30 minutes. All right, I think I've improved. The second half of the second phrase I'm really struggling with still. But let's see. I was really trying to focus then on quality of tone, keeping the volume low despite getting a little bit faster. I think 120 is a good pace. I think I would probably want to record it at 125, 130-ish. Feels like it wants to be fast. But here we go. All right, I'm going to play no metronome. This is where I'm at after 30 minutes of analyzing what it is that I'm actually playing. Zoning in on particular moments that I struggle with and drilling those moments in different ways, creating different mini exercises to try and play those particular struggle spots a little bit differently, repeating, then later putting on a metronome, focusing on timing, quality of tone, all of that kind of stuff. So let's see if we've improved this, and let's see if I'm inspired to write any more of it. So I'm going to play it slowly. I think I did improve. I think with 1 hour instead of 30 minutes, I think I could have that pretty much nailed. Yeah, I encourage you to utilize these in your practice. Analyze what it is that you're playing or the piece that you're trying to learn. figure out where your hands need to be at which point, what the movement needs to be. Drill those pathways in small chunks. Zone in on those small chunks. Move slowly between them, move quickly between them. Try changing the tempo a little bit. Try bouncing it instead of playing it straight, playing it in different ways, playing it as an arpeggio with a slightly different note so you can train those patterns and then put it back into the context of the piece. And number one, most important, warm up before you play fast. You did it! You made it to the end of this course. Well done. Thank you so much for being here. If you're still here at the end of this video, oh my goodness, you are amazing. Let me know what specific tip or lesson really stuck with you in the comments below. And if there's anything specific you'd like to learn as well going forward, let me know. I would love to hear that. Maybe I'll see you over on Patreon for the Handpan Connect calendar if that's something that you're interested in. Otherwise, I'll see you in another video somewhere else on the internet. I wish you all the best, happy practicing, congrats on making it this far, keep doing it, you're amazing. I'll see you very soon.